for weird news and even weirder friends. I'm Joey.
And I'm Stone.
This week, Stone, we got a great episode. We're going to be talking about the second attempt at Donald Trump's life, really the third if you don't count the debate. But before we started, I wanted to make a quick apology. Our last episode kind of ruffled a lot of feathers. Our viewers kind of seemed to have some mixed emotions on our thoughts and our opinions, especially in the political world. So for that, I say, I'm sorry.
Uh, yeah, I'm sorry that we waited until the very end of the episode to reveal that we're funded by China and North Korea. Those commenters who got all angry at us, I mean, they were obviously too mad about the awful things we said about Trump to get to the end of the episode where we revealed that. I feel like if they just knew right up front that we're North Korea and China funded, they probably wouldn't have even bothered to stick around for as long as they did and leave a comment. Um, I'm also sorry that, we even said that we thought Trump lost the debate. I mean, he was a perfect boy and he obviously won. So that, and also it was kind of inconsiderate of me. I wanted to apologize lastly for using a picture of a Muppet as a graphic to represent Laura Loomer all throughout that last episode whenever we talked about her. That Muppet picture was actually supposed to be for a separate project, and I got confused. I thought it was her, but clearly it wasn't. That was completely my bad, and I'm sorry.
Well, that's very big of you, Stone, and I hope our dear viewers forgive us for our treason to our country. But hey, speaking of treason to our country, let's get into.
I'm sorry, Joey. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I also wanted to apologize to you for that time that I stole clothes from your house and I wore a big red silly clown wig, and I went as you for Halloween. That was insensitive, and I see the error of my ways, and I promise I'll never do it again.
Yeah, that's okay. I appreciate that. All is forgiven.
I'll,
But so the other week,
also, I think that the both of us owe our friend James Tilson an apology for that period of, it was about 4 months or so, where we kept secretly replacing his dog with a slightly different looking dog. It wasn't right to replace his dog in the first place, but then we went on to gaslight him about it. And even by the time he had a pug, when he clearly started with a husky, we were still just gaslighting him about replacing his dog, and that also wasn't right.
yeah,
So
I guess I
sorry,
don't
James
remember that.
Tilson.
Yeah, well, we're sorry, Tilson. So a registered
I I,
Republican tried to
I,
make
I
an.
wanna send my sincerest apologies to my little sister too. Uh, there was one time when she was very little, I convinced her she turned me into a hot dog, and that made her cry. It wasn't a nice thing to do, and I shouldn't have done that.
Mm. Well, I'm sure she forgives you. I think going
Yeah,
back to the
and
story.
and
So
also
Trump.
my dad had this Chihuahua too when I was in high school, and I used to think that it was hilarious back in the day to secretly feed that dog my boogers. Uh, Rest in peace, Milo. I'm sorry for doing that. And while I'm apologizing to dogs, I think one is also in order to my own dog, Bolin, who is a very sweet boy, and I have farted like directly square into his face on many occasions.
Mm.
That wasn't right, and I'm sorry, Bolin.
Well, I'm sure Bolin forgives you. So during a round of golf, there was an.
One time also in high school, my best good friend at the time, Tony, and we found a bottle of elk urine in the hallway. It was just like a loose bottle of elk urine, and it smelled really, really bad. I guess hunters use that to disguise their scent. Somehow, this bottle of elk urine had like found its way into just a random hallway in our school, and we went around spraying things during our lunch break. And we snuck into our algebra teacher or classroom while the teacher was gone, and we just completely bombed this whole classroom with elk urine, and it smelled so fucking bad that we ended up having to have class outside that day. So I'm sorry to Mrs. Hungerford's sixth period class from that year, and to Miss Hungerford herself, of course. for very disruptive behavior. It was nice that we had class outside, and honestly, it was kind of worth it. But it was also very disruptive, and I'm sorry for being an asshole and spraying elk urine everywhere. That was very uncalled for.
Well, speaking of disruptive, if we can just get
Uh,
back to the
one time,
story,
one time in eighth grade too, my history teacher had thought someone had stolen his burrito. Like he called us out at the beginning of the class. He's like, "Where's my burrito?" And no one had actually stolen it. We could all see it was clearly on his desk, like behind some papers and his computer, and the whole class could see it. And nobody, including me, had said anything. And he was so angry at us for stealing his burrito that, like, later on during the class, he was sitting at his desk, and my friend pointed out, like, nudged me and pointed out he was actually in tears. And still, none of us said anything, including me. And I probably should have spoke out because he was missing his lunch, and he was very upset that someone had stolen it, and I regret that to this day. So I'm sorry to my eighth grade history teacher.
I'm sure that
Nothing
they've
I could do about it now.
yeah, and I'm sure that they've forgiven you. But going back, so
Also,
Ryan
also
Roth is
the
a
also I laughed until I cried the very first time I watched that movie I Am Sam, starring Sean Penn. I haven't watched it in many years, but I Am Sam. It's to this day I think probably one of the most unintentionally hilarious movies ever made. Uh, and also Radio is for the same exact reasons. And I know it's not right to laugh at those movies, but it it finally became okay to laugh at those movies after they mocked them in that movie Tropic Thunder. But before Ben Stiller had called out Hollywood's behavior for making that kind of movie, I was in tears the first time I watched I Am Sam, and I'm sorry, you guys. Like, uh, I know I'm a terrible person.
somehow that doesn't surprise me. But speaking of terrible people,
Uh,
there was an
oh,
attempt at
the the I'm sorry to keep doing this, Joey. I really am. I'm very sorry to you for keep interrupting. But there's another thing I need to get off my chest. There's a man in Rikers Island right now named Sean Diddy Combs, who's possibly facing life in prison for crimes that I actually framed him for. The man is completely innocent, and it's just not right to have an innocent man to serve times for crimes that I myself committed and pinned on him. Uh, I I do know that now, and I am sorry to Mr. Puff Daddy Combs.
was that everything? Is that did you get it all out?
I, I think so. I mean, I could keep apologizing, but those are all the things off the top of my head that I wanted to apologize for. Um, I think I'm good.
Okay. Well, we're kind of at time now. Just to sum it up, there was a almost attempted assassination attempt on Donald Trump, but nobody really gives a shit because nothing actually
Yeah.
happened, and he got killed a lot worse at the debate.
I can't believe Tenacious D broke up over this shit. I mean, oh well, but yeah, fuck you, Donald Trump, and also fuck you, everyone who wants to come at us in the comments. But also, please leave a comment. I mean, we do want to hear from you. But
Yeah, please drop your comments,
please
even when they're hate
like and
comments. They still give us
subscribe.
engagement. Hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
And
Like
also,
and subscribe.
I'm sorry for farting in your car that one time on
Uh,
Black Friday too. That was really bad, and I do apologize for that, Joey.
hey, can I make an apology to you real quick before we end things?
Sure.
I actually was trimming my nails. I was clipping my nails during our last episode. I lied
I
straight to your face.
fucking knew
I'm
it.
so
God
sorry. I'm so
damn it.
sorry. I'm
Dude,
so
that is
sorry.
worse than all of the things that I just apologized for. You know what? Fuck this. We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.
Maybe if Joey could stop clipping his goddamn fingernails for long enough for us to record.
So I'm
But
sorry. I'm sorry, everyone. Thanks for watching. We love you. Kisses.